Welcome to our deep dive today. We're going to be looking at something I know you're really interested in, and that is lavender and its surprisingly deep connection to the LGBTQ plus community.
Yeah, it's a really, really fascinating journey, and
It is.
one that I think speaks to the power of symbols, especially for communities that have often had to, rely on subtle forms of expression.
Right. And so we're going to be uncovering how a simple flower basically became a powerful symbol of identity and resilience and even healing. We're going to go through a lot of that today. So to start off, I found this phrase when I was doing research for this that I thought was super interesting, a dash of lavender.
Okay.
And it seemed to be used a lot in the early 20th century, and it seems like it subtly signified queerness.
Yeah, it's true that that phrase was used in sort of coded language, and I think to understand its meaning, we have to consider the color lavender itself. Where does that sit on the color spectrum?
Well, it sits between pink and blue, so it's
Right.
kind of blends what were traditionally considered masculine and feminine colors.
Exactly. And that made lavender a really fitting emblem for those who were, challenging rigid gender binaries.
Right.
It represented a space for, fluidity and self-expression.
Yeah, and that makes me think of this anecdote about Abraham Lincoln that I thought was interesting.
Oh, are you thinking about the Street of Lavender?
Yes.
From the Carl Sandburg biography?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which was published in 1926.
In 1926, that's right.
It's so interesting how he uses that phrase to speculate about Lincoln's relationship with Joshua Fry's feed.
Right, and it's impossible to know for sure, what Sandburg intended by using that phrasing, but it does highlight how, lavender was already sort of being associated with queerness, even indirectly in the early 20th century.
Right.
And, for a community facing such societal pressures and prejudice,
Of course.
coded language was vital.
It was a way to express a truth that couldn't be fully voiced at the time. And I think that kind of leads into the Lavender Scare in the 1950s, which was
Right.
a pretty dark chapter in American history.
It absolutely was fueled by Cold War paranoia.
Mm-hmm.
The U.S. government began purging homosexual employees from their positions.
Right.
They wrongly claimed that these individuals were susceptible to blackmail and therefore a threat to national security.
And they even equated homosexuality with communist sympathies.
Yeah, it was a very, unsettling time.
Very much so.
And it shows how easily
It does.
Societal anxieties can be manipulated to target
Right.
marginalized groups.
What impact did the Lavender Scare have on the LGBTQ plus community?
I mean, the impact was devastating.
Yeah.
The Lavender Scare forced countless individuals back into the closet.
Right.
It created this climate of fear and silence that set back LGBTQ plus visibility for years to come.
Yeah.
And it's a stark reminder of how, fragile progress can be and how quickly tolerance can turn into persecution.
And yet, through all of this, the LGBTQ plus community didn't stay silent. They fought back.
They did.
And they reclaimed their power. And that brings us to the Lavender Menace
Yes.
of the 1970s.
Yes.
Can you explain a little bit about what that was all about?
So the Lavender Menace was a group of lesbian feminists
Okay.
who were protesting their exclusion from the mainstream feminist movement.
Mm-hmm.
And they felt that, their concerns as lesbians were being ignored.
Okay.
So they decided to make their voices heard in a very powerful way.
And they did this by wearing lavender T-shirts that said Lavender Menace during the Second Congress to Unite Women in 1970.
That's right.
What do you think they were trying to achieve with this?
I think by reclaiming a term that was meant to shame them, they transformed it into this symbol of defiance and pride.
Mm-hmm.
Their bold statement declared their, refusal to be silenced and highlighted their strength and their visibility within the feminist movement.
Yeah.
It really demonstrates the power of language reclamation as a tool for empowerment.
It's remarkable how lavender went from like a coded whisper in the early 1900s to this really bold declaration in the 1970s.
Right.
And I think this evolution speaks volumes about the growing visibility and confidence of the LGBTQ plus community.
It absolutely does. It's a testament to their resilience and their unwavering determination to fight for recognition and equality.
Yeah, and that symbolism isn't just a relic of the past, because even today, giving someone a lavender-themed gift can be a meaningful way to show solidarity and support within the LGBTQ plus community.
That's very true. Lavender-related products like essential oils,
Right.
sachets, or bouquets are thoughtful gestures that convey a sense of shared understanding and experience.
And it's a really beautiful way, I think, to connect with the community's shared history and show support for, their ongoing journey toward full equality.
Mm-hmm.
But lavender's significance goes beyond just symbolism, doesn't it?
It does. Lavender itself has inherent qualities that make it particularly relevant to the LGBTQ plus community, especially when it comes to mental well-being. Lavender essential oil is known for its calming and relaxing effects.
And it's often used in aromatherapy to reduce anxiety, promote restful sleep, and ease tension. And those are all things that I think are particularly helpful for LGBTQ plus individuals who often face higher levels of stress and anxiety due to societal pressures and discrimination.
Exactly. The constant pressure of navigating a world that isn't always accepting or inclusive can take a toll on anyone's mental health.
Yeah.
And lavender can offer a gentle and natural way to support well-being.
It's almost like a form of self-care that's both physically and emotionally supportive.
Right.
How would you suggest someone incorporate lavender into their self-care routine?
Well, there's many ways, herbal teas, bath soaks, or diffused oils are all excellent options for integrating lavender into one's daily routine.
That's great. Yeah, it's a gentle reminder, I think, to slow down, breathe, and prioritize self-care amidst the chaos of the world.
Yeah.
And especially for a community that's often told to suppress or deny their true selves, that message of self-compassion, I think, is incredibly important.
It is, and it speaks to the profound impact that lavender can have on both individual well-being and the collective strength of the LGBTQ plus community.
It's amazing how this one plant can hold so much history, symbolism, and healing power. It's like woven into the fabric of the community's story.
And that's a story worth exploring further. Yeah, it really is remarkable how intertwined lavender has become with the LGBTQ experience.
It is.
It makes you wonder how these symbols even develop, and gain such profound meaning.
Well, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, we've seen how it's evolved, but what is it about symbols, especially for marginalized communities, that gives them so much power?
Well, I think for groups that have been silenced or forced to communicate in coded language, symbols can be vital for expressing identity and building community and fostering a sense of belonging.
Right.
Think of it like a shared language that only those in the knows can fully understand.
It creates a sense of connection and solidarity, especially when open expression isn't safe.
Exactly.
Possible.
Symbols can act as a visual reminder that you're not alone and that there's a whole community out there that understands and supports you.
Right.
That feeling of connection is especially crucial for a community like the LGBTQ community, which has, often faced isolation and discrimination.
And the act of reclaiming a derogatory term like Lavender Menace is such a powerful example of that.
Absolutely.
They're turning a weapon of oppression into a symbol of defiance and pride.
It's incredibly empowering for both individuals and communities. It sends a message of resilience and visibility, like, we're here, we're queer, and we're not going away.
It's fascinating how lavender has become such a multi-layered symbol for the LGBTQ community.
It is.
Representing identity and resilience and healing and a shared history of struggle and triumph.
It really highlights the ingenuity and the resilience of the human spirit, especially when facing adversity.
It really does.
It makes you appreciate how even a seemingly simple thing can carry so much weight and meaning.
It does. And it makes you wonder what other hidden symbols are out there just waiting to be discovered and understood.
That's the beauty of continuous learning and exploration. There are always, more connections to make, stories to uncover, layers to peel back.
That's what makes it so captivating.
Exactly. We've only just scratched the surface of lavender's significance in the LGBTQ community.
Right. And it feels like we're kind of handing the listener a magnifying glass and inviting them to kind of continue the investigation.
I like that.
What would you suggest they look for? What kind of questions should they be keeping in mind as they delve deeper into this topic?
Well, one thing that struck me during our deep dive was this whole concept of coded language.
Okay.
How did LGBTQ individuals communicate with each other when being open about their identities was dangerous?
Yeah.
What other symbols or phrases or even gestures were used?
It's like deciphering a secret code. A hidden language of identity and community.
Yeah, and as you explore further, think about, the broader context. How did societal attitudes, laws, cultural norms influence the ways LGBTQ individuals express themselves?
Right.
How did those expressions evolve over time?
It's like piecing together a historical puzzle.
It is.
Understanding how, personal and political forces intersect to shape identity and community. But it's not just about the historical context, right?
Right. It's also essential to reflect on the individual experiences up behind the symbols. What did lavender mean to someone living during the Lavender Scare?
Right.
How did it feel to wear a Lavender Menace t-shirt at a protest?
Those are powerful questions.
They are.
They remind us that behind every symbol are real people with real lives and hopes and struggles.
By listening to those stories, we gain a deeper understanding of the LGBTQ experience in all its complexity and richness.
And that's what makes this deep dive so meaningful.
Yeah.
It's not just about, learning facts, but it's about connecting with the human stories behind them.
Right.
It's about, cultivating empathy, fostering understanding,
Absolutely.
and celebrating the resilience of the LGBTQ community.
Well said. I think if our listener comes away from this deep dive with a renewed appreciation for the power of symbols, the importance of listening to marginalized voices,
Right.
and the enduring spirit of the LGBTQ community, then I believe we've accomplished our goal.
I completely agree. It's been a fascinating journey. What other thoughts would you like to leave with our listener as they continue exploring this topic?
I hope our listeners feel empowered to explore those personal stories. Maybe they'll even be inspired to incorporate a little lavender into their own lives.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it's as a gesture of solidarity,
Right.
a form of self-care, or simply a reminder of the beauty and resilience that can bloom, in unexpected places.
I love that thought. It really is incredible how something as simple as a flower can hold so much meaning and potential.
It does, it speaks to the power of nature to connect us to something larger than ourselves.
Yeah.
To history, to community, to our shared humanity.
It's like lavender acts as this bridge between the personal and the political, the individual and the collective. And it reminds us that even when we're facing adversity, there's always beauty and resilience and hope to be found.
Beautifully put. And on that note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive.
To our listener, we encourage you to keep exploring,
Yes.
keep questioning, and keep embracing the power of symbols to connect us to ourselves and to each other.
And who knows, you might just discover your own personal connection to lavender and its rich tapestry of meanings.
Until next time, happy deep diving.
For more Queer Trip podcasts, visit the Queer Triptych at www.queertriptych.weebly.com. Have a great day and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.